Hello and welcome once again to Better Business Bureau Serving Connecticut with information about the marketplace. This show is one of a series that deals with marketplace issues, consumer and business news, scams, tips, and public education. We're also discussing the way BBB and various government entities protect consumers and businesses in Connecticut. This episode is dedicated to scam emails, and I meant to share with you to illustrate what scam emails look like and how to catch them. We'll also look at their potential to cause problems, how to spot potentially dangerous or fake email, and how to protect yourself. The reason we're going to be looking at the scam emails is because they're rampant and they can hurt consumers and businesses. Email is convenient, it's fast, we can share photos and videos and files and audio links. Unfortunately, email is also used by criminals to try and fool us into following a call to action. And the call to action is usually to either click on a link or open an attachment as a document. So, if you click on a link, it can do two very bad things. It can lead you to a lookalike website where you're asked to put in personal information that can be used for identity theft. Well, the other consequence is that just clicking the link can unleash malware, a computer virus, into your computer. So the question often comes up, what is a computer virus? Well, when personal computers came of age in the 1990s, a virus was usually designed by one or more hackers who at the time were called computer science students. Now, compared to what's around today, those early viruses were fairly simple, and they were usually designed to delete or scramble your files. Well, a virus is now part of what's called malware. It's malicious software. And much of the malware has what is called a keylogger. This is very important. If you click on a bad link or open an attachment that is infected, it can install malware with serious consequences. Now, the keylogger, as the name implies, follows you around the internet and sends every keystroke to a criminal's computer. It could be nearby, in another state, or even another country. And that means they will know where you're going and capture your login and your password and anything else you type in. So think about online banking and that type of thing. Malware is also designed to look for personal information in your computer and at the very least, your email contacts. The virus will then turn your computer into a virtual spam machine using the names and email addresses of all of your friends and colleagues and family members. No hacking is required for that, just the email address. And you can see this if you receive an email from someone you know that doesn't have a subject line or has no text, just a hyperlink within it. So let's take a look now at some of those fake emails. And the first thing to keep in mind is that criminals follow the headlines. So the first one here is when Anthem had its data breach. You see a fake notice on the left from email. The one on the right is legitimate. Now, both of them are using the Anthem colors. The fake one even actually has the logos on it. So how are you to distinguish which one is legitimate and which one is not? Well, we'll show you how to do that by looking at the email in just a moment. But right off the top, if you see in the right beneath the blue strip, it says Dear Anthem Client. And if you look further down a few paragraphs, the privacy and protection of our clients' healthcare information, and the apostrophe is in the wrong place. So sometimes you'll find spelling errors or grammar areas. Now, if you look at the one on the right, that's a legitimate one, and they're not asking you really to click, like the one on the left is. You see at the bottom, the blue stripe, click here to get your free year of credit card protection. So a moment ago I said they look at the headlines. This was a big breach, and the fake notices came out. The legitimate ones, again, if you're never sure, just call the company and use information that you can find yourself rather than something that is sent to you in an email or over a telephone call. This one is very popular. It happens around Christmas time, and it's called the delivery scam or the missed delivery scam. And it says it was sent by FedEx ship manager, but if you take a look next to it, it says support@stevenson.something.com. Well, it should say something like FedEx customer service. And down at the lower right, what I did was I took the cursor to show you what happens if you put your cursor over that get shipment label. If you do, it does not go to FedEx. As you can see, it's http architect.de and whatever. Well, that's not FedEx. And if you ever want to do that to check out whether or not a URL or a link is legitimate, just hover your mouse over the link. Don't press it. Just hover it, and you'll see what the actual URL is. So this one is clearly fake, and there are several tells. This one Subject important, update your account. Now you notice none of these address me by name, and by the way, I received these all within a 4-month period. It says, Dear Client. This is an automatic message by the system to let you know that you have to confirm your account information within 24 hours, otherwise the account will be frozen temporarily to protect it. Well, anyone who uses Apple knows that's just not the way it worked. They will not ask you for information in a separate email, and if you're wondering why you got the email, they say one thing. They say it's because when someone adds or changes a contact email address for an account ID, that's why they do it. Well, it's a lot of nonsense. It's not addressed to anybody, and there's that call to action where the circle is. Update now. If you click that, you're going to get malware. In the next one, this is interesting. It's I'm not even sure what that email address is on top, the 8EOBWG12. That is supposedly what the email address is that sent this to me. Well, let's look what we got. We've got that same number on a Word document that it's attached to top next to the word message. If you open that document and it's fake, guess what? It's going to install malware on your computer. And what's the other big hint we've got is on that slide, it says the state of transfer recently initiated from your online bank account was updated. Very nice. Doesn't say who I am, it's not addressed to me. Therefore, this is merely a scam email, and they're trying to get you to open up that document and get some malware into your computer. One of the better known scams involves fake employment opportunities, and we have one of those to show you as well. It's from Satisfactory Service, and it's one of the leading agencies, they say, specializing in global customer service research, promising a lot of money for each assignment, and they're giving you basic job description information here. But look where the circle is. It says cashier check or money order. If anyone asks for that, it's called an untraceable method, or if they ask for a gift card or a cashier's check. Any email whatsoever that asks you to pay that way, any phone call that you get that asks you to pay that way instantly, red flag, just delete the email, or if it's a telephone call, hang up, and that sort of thing, just to protect yourself. Watch for the red flags because they're all over the place. In our next example, this one apparently supposed to come from AT&T, but if you look at the return address on that, it's Del Monte 101-37347 at AOL.com. Clearly, it's not coming from AT&T Customer Services. The subject, once again, is to validate, and I would be replying to another person, not even the person who sent it to me. Again, red flags all over the place. It has a name there. It's not my name. I had to block it out so you wouldn't see the email address. And it tells me that my email has exceeded the storage limit. I cannot send or receive messages until I validate your email. And there's the call to action. Update now. No name, funny email addresses, and they want payment through an untraceable method. Some of the other ones we're going to take a look at is, here's another one that purports to be from AT&T. And we're not picking on them. This goes under the names of all sorts of companies. Once again, the return address is Aaron something at sbcglobal.net. That is not AT&T. It's not addressed to me. It's Dear Valid User. And then if we look down again, it's exceeded the limit of my account. I won't be able to receive or send emails. And where it says log in here, that's a hyperlink. Once again, I place my cursor over the link, and that's the web address I got, ffggggdee, etc. That is a spammer who's sending me that email in order to get me to act on it. They have absolutely no interest in my personal being or that of my email or anything else. That's another red flag. Now, we can get problems with text messages as well. Sometimes it'll promise you a brand new smartphone or a tablet or a coupon worth a lot of money. Now, in this case, it purports to come from People's United Bank Fraud Department. It's asking about a charge, and if you reply yes or no, it's pretty much the same as if somebody calls you and they're a telemarketer. If you press on 1 to speak to a customer service person or 2 to be taken off of that phone list, you're guaranteed one thing, is that they will see that you're amenable to picking up the phone, and unfortunately your information will be sold to what's called a suckers list. And then you can bet that you're going to be getting illegal telemarketing emails and phone calls for a long time to come. Now we've got the really interesting ones. This one came to me. The subject is security update. It comes from the Central Security Service, and it's sporting both that and the National Security Agency's logo as well. And it's not addressed to me. It's not even addressed to customers. It is addressed to dear costumers. Dear costumers. So I guess at Halloween might be the appropriate time to get this sort of thing. But being serious about this, they're telling you that you've got an unsafe vulnerability in your computer, and what they want you to do is to, call to action here, download and install the security update. It's available here, and it will exclude the possibility of misuse, unless, of course, the people who are sending you the email are trying to misuse email for their own purposes. We got one from the Internal Revenue Service here. The IRS scams are the highest rated, most common of all scams that are going on in the country right now. It comes supposedly from the Internal Revenue Service. Even the return address looks legitimate, tax-refund at irs.gov. And its attention early 2013 tax return report. Well, I received it in January of 2014, so they work really quickly. But look at the tells in this one. First one, they're addressing me as dear member, not dear Howard Schwartz, not dear taxpayer, dear member. And I know folks who say, well, if it's a membership, I'd like to drop that membership. If we look down, kindly download the attachment. The word download runs into the word the. I sincerely doubt that the IRS would send out something like that. It says, thanks, the Internal Revenue Service, very polite, probably not legitimate. And there's an attachment, early 2013 tax return report.zip, Z-I-P. And as you can guess, that's a call to action. They want you to open up that zip file, and it'll install malware. It'll install malware into your computer. Our next example has to do with a notice of appearance in court. Notice to appear. And the account doesn't really look legitimate either. It's coming from account 112 at some internet provider. And it's telling me that I'm notified that I've been scheduled to appear for my hearing that will take place in the Court of Cleveland. And court does not have a capital C, as it should. Bring all your documents and witnesses, and the copy of the court notice is attached to the letter. So again, they want you to open up that notice, and it's going to wreak havoc with your computer, depending on where that hyperlink goes. If we look at our next one, we're talking about a notice to vacate immediately. And look at the email address. Again, if you bother looking, support2@womensday.com. It doesn't make sense that they would be sending me a notice to vacate, especially since I've had my own home for more than 10 years. And this is what's interesting. You're hereby required to move out of the premises you've been holding possession of. The bank has foreclosed on your property and you're presently considered a trespasser. However, in exchange for your cooperation, the bank may decide to offer you a cash incentive amounting to $3,000. So either you're going to be evicted or you win $3K. Interesting deal, but not legitimate. Now let's go on to our next one. This one looks like it comes from Chase Bank. And as you see, once again at the top, it comes from an email that has nothing to do with Chase, and it has a reply to, which has nothing to do with the bank either. Dear customer. Well, there you go. It's not dear Howard or dear account holder. It's dear customer. Now, this is part of a shotgun approach. And what will happen is the criminals will send out the same email to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people, hoping that even one of them will go for the bait and click on it so that they can get into your computer, turn your computer into a spam machine, or steal your personal information. So eventually they will hit somebody who does deal with this bank. You'll also find that for other financial institutions as well. This one is heartbreaking. It's from Hubble Funeral Home. It's a death notification. I don't know who. It says they want to express their deepest sorrow. They say where the actual funeral will take place. It doesn't say what the address is, but it does have a call to action here. Second paragraph, please follow this link to get the funeral invitation. Well, that's also interesting because they don't know who I am, and they can't tell me who the person is for the service that's happening. Again, just open your eyes, look at what's being told to you, slow down, and consider whether or not it's a legitimate email. And this one is sad trip, please help. And this is a variation of the grandchild in distress scam, and here's why. Again, comes from someone supposedly by the name of Don Friedman, which I have no idea who this gentleman is, and he just says hello. He's being very friendly with me. I'm sorry you're getting the mail from me at this point in my life. My family and I came down here to Istanbul for a short vacation, and unfortunately they were mugged at the park of the hotel. At the park of the hotel, there you go, it's bad grammar, and we stayed. All cash credit cards and cell were stolen, so they need money for their bills. Please be so kind as to reply back. And there you have it. I've received those emails as well. Pardon me. And I think probably the single most piece of advice, a single and most important piece of advice we can give you is no government agency, no financial agency, no legitimate entity is going to contact you by email and ask you for personal information. They will not address it to somebody who you don't know. It should be addressed to you if it's somebody that you're doing business with. And that brings us to phone calls we can deal with for a few minutes remaining. Phone calls, the phone is one of the three vectors that criminals use to get to us. They use our front door, they use the internet, and they use the telephone. And unfortunately, the telephone scams are prevalent and they're getting to be more and more sophisticated. And typically what happens is many of us come from a generation where we're taught, don't hang up the phone on somebody, don't close the door in their faces. In 2016, unfortunately, that's not always possible. People who come up to your front door probably are trying to sell you something, and they want you to make a decision on the spot. And they'll tell you something, for example, like, this is a one-day price only. If you don't pay me right away, you're going to miss this opportunity. If that's the case, say thank you very much and just move on. We should not be doing business at our front door and on the telephone. And the same for magazine sales, by the way, because we've seen situations where students will go up to people's doors, they're in the neighborhood, and they'll collect checks, they'll collect credit card numbers, and unknown to the students, the person they're working for, who's got a truck around the corner, is making copies of those checks and those credit cards and stealing the information. And the students have no idea that this is going on. When somebody comes to your home, ask them for identification. Don't let them in, because in some cases they might be trying to scope out your house for a robbery at some later time. And the other thing when we're talking about people coming to the front door is identification. You can ask for ID. That can be copied as well. If it's someone who claims that they're a contractor, they can just throw a telephone number on the side and a fake registration number, and you'd be none the wiser for it. So if you want to do some work, we suggest you be proactive rather than reactive. If you want some work done on your house, come to bbb.org/Connecticut, Connecticut spelled out, and you can check on an existing contractor that you'd like to use, or you can go to our Accredited Business Directory, and those are Better Business Bureau members, and that way you are getting a guarantee that they will uphold the highest standards in the marketplace. So those are some of the more obvious problems. If you look around in your email, you're going to see exactly what we're talking about. And some of these are more sophisticated than others, but just to finish this, it's that any child around the age of 10 would have enough savvy to be able to put a national security agency logo onto an email. That's it for this show. Please share this information with your family and friends and colleagues, because that's the only way that we're going to beat the scammers, is by educating folks. Once again, we're grateful to Nutmeg Television and each and one of the folks who work here, among other things, to produce programs like this one. So aside from sharing the information with your family and friends and neighbors, visit bbb.org to look up a business or a charity before you hand them over any money. And remember, the information, or the ultimate tool to protect ourselves from criminals who want to take our money and our personal information, is education. Learn everything you can. Finally, if you have a marketplace dispute and you want to inquire about a particular business or professional, or learn more about consumer and marketplace issues, you'll find us at bbb.org/Connecticut, or you can call us at 860-740-4050. Until next time, thank you for letting us into your home. I'm Howard Schwartz. We'll see you soon.